But I went out to go to Syria, and I went out to go to other places in the world. But I always go because my girlfriend is from Surabaya.
Saya dapat oleh-oleh dari Ukraina. Ya, ini gantungan kunci. Yang bawa adalah wartawan yang baru pulang dari Ukraina dan langsung ke Surabaya karena beliau ini ke Ukraina membawa bendera Harian Disway. Bukan sejak awal sebetulnya. Kami teman-teman Disway tahunya bahwa beliau sudah ada di Eropa, kemudian pengen ke Ukraina, pengen meliput perang Ukraina, dan kemudian tentu kami bertanya apakah bersedia kalau menjadi wartawan Harian Disway. Ternyata bersedia karena beliau ini punya sejarah yang agak unik untuk dirinya dalam kaitan dengan Indonesia. Saya belum sempat ngomong-ngomong, belum sempat ngobrol dengan beliau, tetapi saya dengar bahwa beliau ini orang Belanda, kemudian nothing tulus, karena itu pergi ke perang nggak ada beban, karena dia ini merasa belum punya orang tua. Orang tuanya ada di Indonesia, tapi tidak tahu siapa. Saya dengar sekarang ke Indonesia antara lain pengen mencari orang tuanya. Tapi minta maaf karena dia ini tidak bisa bahasa Indonesia, katanya sedang belajar agak keras, hanya bisa ngomong 1-2 kata, sehingga saya akan berbicara pakai bahasa Inggris. Nanti sambil saya terjemahkan kalau saya mengerti. Ya,
thank you.
You are originally you're Indonesian.
Yes, I was born in Jakarta in Tanah Abang, but I was adopted when I was a baby, and then I came.
How old the baby?
Well, right now,
of course you don't know, but
yes, yeah. we don't know exactly. We're trying to find out right now. We have the papers, and your magazine Disway is also trying to find my biological parents, but it's still a very difficult investigation.
Jadi dia bilang bahwa lahir di Jakarta, tetapi ketika masih bayi sudah diadopsi oleh orang Belanda dan dibawa ke Belanda, dan dia sangat pengen tahu orang tua yang asli, tetapi dia bilang sulit sekali bagaimana cara mencari ini, sehingga juga berharap Anda semua ikut mencari, dan siapa tahu ada orang tuanya yang mendengarkan podcast ini dan melihat podcast ini kemudian tahu, oh ini anaknya. Who adopt you?
My parents, Han and Gerry, they live in a small city in the Netherlands called Gorsel. They really.
How far from Amsterdam?
I think about 1.5 hours by car.
To north or to south or east?
It's through the North Sea.
North Sea.
Yes, to the North Sea.
Jadi orang tuanya ini tinggal di satu kota kecil, kira-kira 1 jam atau 1,5 jam dari Amsterdam ke arah utara. So you still with them, right?
Yes, I am. They're my parents.
And you the only children?
No, I also have a brother. He is also adopted. He actually was born in Surabaya, and then because my parents really wanted to have 2 children, but because of my mother's condition, she couldn't get children, so she adopted 2 children. One of them was my brother from Surabaya, and one of them from Jakarta.
Jadi saya tanya apakah orang tuanya hanya punya Anda sebagai anak, ternyata katanya punya 2, tapi dua-duanya adopsi, yang satu malahan dari Surabaya. It is smaller or bigger than you? The Surabaya baby.
My Surabaya brother still lives in the Netherlands, and he's
how
married
old
there.
is he or she?
He is about
big brother or
yes, no, he's my younger brother. He's my baby brother.
How many years different?
It's just a couple of years, but still.
The adoption in the same time or
no, it was also 2 years difference. Because at that time it was very difficult to adopt children, and they had to go to a process, and eventually first they got into the approval to get me from orphanage in Jakarta, and then they got approval for.
Jadi orang Belanda ini pengen punya anak tapi nggak bisa punya anak, dan sulit sekali untuk mengadopsi, sehingga kemudian datang ke Jakarta mengadopsi dia, dan 2 tahun kemudian datang lagi ke Indonesia mengadopsi anak dari Surabaya yang kira-kira umurnya selisih 2 tahun dari dia dan lebih muda, lebih kecil. So your father and mother now in the Netherlands, it is the real Netherlands people. I mean that white people.
Yes, correct. They are like in Indonesia they call it like bule. And they are yes, they are originally from Holland. They are from Gorsel. They were born and raised there.
Why they what Indonesian children, not from other? Because I see that from China also a lot of adopted in China.
Because maybe they thought we were the sweetest people, the Indonesian people. No, I think at that point it was also easier than get children from Indonesia than from, for example, China. Later it became illegal to adopt children from
Do you know
Indonesia.
the history of your parent, Holland parent, about their relation between them and Indonesia?
Well, they always thought Indonesia was a very beautiful and lovely country, and they always wanted to visit Indonesia. But at that time, Indonesia was also a very poor country, and they wanted to help children that didn't have a future in Indonesia, or it was more difficult for them to survive in Indonesia.
Jadi katanya apakah ada hubungan khusus orang tuanya dengan Indonesia, kok menginginkan anak Indonesia, kok tidak dari Tiongkok misalnya. Orang tuanya pernah cerita bahwa dari Indonesia mungkin lebih gampang, dan lagi waktu itu Indonesia sangat miskin sehingga dia ingin membantu anak-anak miskin dari Indonesia mengatasi persoalan kemiskinan itu. So what year that time adopted?
I was born in 1987. I was born in 1977, and 1 year later I was adopted.
Oh, so now how old you are?
But now I'm 43.
43?
Yes. But now we also find out, we also do a big investigation ourselves about adoption at that time. And at that time, there were a lot of things that went wrong during the adoption procedure. And we are trying to find out how it is possible to get in touch with the real biological parents of people.
When you start thinking about your original parent?
I think I was around 7 or 8, because I was the only person in the whole classroom that had.
When you was 7 or
7 or 8, yes. Because I was the only person with like a different color, like, and my parents were, as you say, white. Like, how is that possible? And
so you ask yourself?
Yes, and then I asked, like, what happened? And then they told me that I was adopted when.
Jadi ketika umur 7 atau 8 tahun dia mulai berpikir, mengapa wajah saya berbeda dengan orang tua saya, dengan lingkungan saya di Belanda, sehingga then you ask your parents. So
yes,
who
I asked my parents. I asked my parents, and then I really started.
What question?
Like, how is it possible that everyone in the classroom is not the same color as I am?
And what your parents said?
Well, then they told me the story about Indonesia.
It is the first time they talked you that story?
Well, they tried to tell me before, but I was too young to understand, because as a child, you are, you're just a child. You don't understand, like, how do I get from this place to that place?
Jadi waktu itu dia sebetulnya orang tua barunya di Holland sudah pengen menjelaskan sejak masih agak kecil, tetapi mungkin dianggap masih terlalu kecil, sehingga ketika umur 7-8 tahun dia mulai mempertanyakan diri, kemudian orang tuanya menceritakan sejarah adopsi itu. And how about your little brother?
Yes, actually, we had a big discussion on that subject, and we talked about it, and we asked questions about Indonesia, like what kind of country is it, and what kind of people are living there. And then me and my brother got really interested in this country, this for us strange country.
Wow. Have your little brother visit Indonesia?
Yes, he visited also a couple of times, and my parents already tried. Well, from the start, they were also very interested in our biological parents, so they hired some people to find the biological parents of
Found already?
but not found.
Not found already.
So that
Jadi saya tanya apakah adiknya yang asli Surabaya itu juga menyadari itu sama katanya, dan apakah juga sedang mencari orang tua yang asli, dia bilang dia, dan apakah juga sudah ke Indonesia, sudah berusaha, tapi sampai sekarang juga belum ketemu siapa orang tua aslinya. So where you study?
I'm sorry?
Where you study?
Well, to be honest, I didn't study.
Really? No.
Yes, I was self-made. I was very young.
Even to elementary school, no?
Yes, I went to elementary school. I went to high school, and then it was time to go to university. But I never, because between university and the time that I supposed to study, I went to Australia for a while. And I told my parents when I come back to Australia, then I would pick up my study, but it never happened.
So why you went to Australia that time?
Because I love travel. From a child.
Who paid the cost?
Well, I did, because in Holland it's very common that when you are like younger, you get like a job and you get like you bring the newspaper, for example, and then you save money. And then
tadi saya tanya di mana sekolahnya, aku nggak sekolah, saya otodidak, belajar sendiri. Tetapi apakah SD pun tidak? Oh, SD sekolah sampai SMA, tapi setelah tamat SMA dia pamit ke orang tuanya mau ke Australia karena dia suka jalan-jalan, dan untuk cari uang belanja, untuk cari uang pergi itu bagi dia katanya gampang di Belanda, cari kerjaan apapun bisa mendapatkan uang, termasuk nganter koran begitu, sehingga dari situ punya uang untuk ke Australia. How many years in Australia?
Well, I only like a year, and then afterwards after a couple of years I spent in Holland, then just working, I went to Palestine, and I was a volunteer teacher for about and I was a volunteer teacher in the city of Ramallah in Palestine for a while, and I also went to Gaza. And then for the first time, it was very strange, I was in Gaza, I saw the Indonesian hospital, because they have an Indonesian hospital in Gaza.
Jadi setelah pulang dari Australia, berapa tahun di Belanda, kemudian pergi ke Palestina dan pengen menjadi guru volunteer di Palestina, dan melihat ada rumah sakit Indonesia di Palestina, dan dia what you feeling when you saw the Indonesian hospital in Palestine?
Yes, it was kind of like a proud feeling.
Oh,
it was a proud, because after a little while I also started to work as a journalist, and it was during the second Intifada. That was also my first war that I was in, and then I was very fortunate to meet Yasser Arafat and Saab Erekat, the big leaders of
jadi dia bilang bangga sekali ketika melihat ada rumah sakit Indonesia di Palestina, karena ya merasa orang Indonesia itu, dan di sana bahkan ikut meliput perang karena sudah mulai belajar menjadi wartawan, termasuk menyaksikan bagaimana intifada atau gerakan orang Palestina melawan Israel itu dia melihat. So how the way to study journalism?
Well, I didn't, because I actually gave journalism to the university in Ramallah, but I never studied myself. But I was a journalist giving lessons.
So you went to university in Ramallah?
Yes, but to be a teacher. I was a teacher. In Ramallah. Yes, I was a teacher, and then I also.
What kind of lesson you teach?
Photography, and I also did video and journalism in general.
So how can You without journalism background, and then you become a journalism teacher.
Well, because I started young at a school newspaper, and then I developed myself and my own skills. And then when I started going to Palestine, I had a lot of experience in the war as a war journalist, and I could convey that.
Menarik karena kan bukan belum punya pengalaman jadi wartawan. Bagaimana bisa jadi guru jurnalistik di Palestina? Katanya ternyata waktu SMA kan punya koran dan kemudian belajar sendiri, kemudian sampai di Palestina melihat begitu banyak peristiwa termasuk perang dan intifada, kemudian menjadi guru jurnalistik dan menjadi wartawan. So
after that,
you write the story for which publication?
Well, in Holland you have a news agency where you can do it like for different. It's like Associated Press or something like that, but then in the Netherlands. But after that, I worked as a photographer, as a freelancer for Reuters and AFP. And I worked mainly in the Middle East. I worked from Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan.
Wow. Jadi ternyata dia menulis untuk kantor berita di Belanda dan kemudian apa saja bisa menerima di sana karena yang penting itu ada fakta di sana dan dia mampu. Kemudian dia sudah pergi ke mana-mana di Timur Tengah mulai dari Irak, Iran also.
No, Iran.
Oh no, Iran, Irak, Palestina, Syria, Libya, and Egypt.
During the revolution, I was in almost every country during the Arab Spring. Yes.
Jadi memang dia ini wartawan revolusi karena dia ke negara-negara yang sedang mengalami revolusi dia datangi dan dia jadi wartawan di situ. But for the first time, what is the inspiration that make you went to Palestine?
Well, I always have the feeling that I'm very lucky that I was adopted. I feel I have like a second chance, and I really wanted to do something for people. I really wanted to be a voice for people that weren't able to have a voice. And this idealism, it's in my heart, and I really would like to give something back to the community by sharing my stories and by sharing my photos and videos.
Saya tanya tadi bagaimana, apa yang menginspirasi dia kok ke Palestina yang kita semua tahu bahwa keadaannya tidak aman begitu karena ternyata dia menyadari bahwa dia ini orang yang punya kehidupan kedua. Dia menyadari dulu dia ditolong orang untuk bisa menjadi begini dan kemudian dia akan menolong orang, termasuk dia akan pergi ke daerah-daerah yang dia bisa berbuat untuk menolong orang karena bagi dia tidak ada apalagi yang diberatkan. So you are journalist, the real journalist, war journalist.
Yes, I've been covering wars for about 20 years now, from all different wars, not only in the Middle East, but also in like Colombia, Venezuela, Africa.
So went around the world already?
Around the world, wherever there is war, there's a chance you can see me.
And why Ukraine?
Ukraine is very important right now. It's not about Ukraine. I mean, obviously it is about Ukraine, but it's also about the geopolitics of Europe and how will every country position itself during this war. I think that is very important for the next step of Europe. Obviously, after the fall of Berlin, there was a new era for Europe, and now there will be another era for Europe.
Jadi saya tanya, kemudian kenapa milih Ukraine? Ya dia bilang Ukraina menurut dia penting sekali karena ini bagi Eropa penting sekali karena ini bisa sejarah baru bagi Eropa karena setelah tembok Berlin itu pecah, kemudian ini ada peristiwa ini, mungkin ini akan terjadi perubahan besar di Eropa. What kind of change in Europe after Ukraine war?
I think you can really see who is with who is together with who is whose new enemy, and how will they collaborate and work together. And it's also what I also want to mention here is that this war has an enormous impact also on Indonesia and on the Indonesian people.
Yeah, of course. So, where you start when you went to Ukraine?
Well,
From Amsterdam or from other places?
I started from Surabaya,
Huh?
and
So you went to Surabaya already before?
yes, I was in Surabaya, and then I went because I'm here now for a while. I've been here for about 2 years now in Surabaya.
Really?
Yes, kind of. But I went out to go to Syria, and I went out to go to other places in the world. But
Come
I
and
always
go,
go
come and
because my girlfriend is from Surabaya, so of course I had to go back to her to everywhere.
Is Surabaya girl or Chinese? Surabaya Chinese girl or?
No, she's actually also from Belanda, and she was adopted as well. And she has an organization who reunites biological parents with their adopted children. And it's here in Surabaya. And right now, she already has reunited over 50 people here in Indonesia with their biological parents. Because she has a lot of people in.
She worked for that social work.
Yes, she has like something like a yayasan to help adopted children to find their real birth parents.
And already 50 cases successful.
Yes, but still going on and still trying to find my parents.
And also help you.
Yes. So she's a really good person.
So she was born in Surabaya,
No, she was born in Bogor.
Bogor.
Yes,
and then adopted to Holland.
when she was just a little child, and then she spent her time in a place called Sliedrecht, which is like an hour, half hour from Amsterdam. And then she was in Holland. She was a very famous actress. She played in a lot of TV shows, and she was a famous swimmer. She has like some really big high records on her name. But she gave up
under which flag?
The Dutch flag.
Oh, Dutch flag.
But she gave everything up to help the adopted children because she really wanted to help the children.
Tadi kan saya tanya waktu meliput Ukraina ini berangkatnya dari mana? Apakah dari Amsterdam atau dari tempat lain? Dia bilang berangkatnya dari Surabaya. Ternyata dia sudah beberapa waktu di Surabaya karena pacarnya di Surabaya. Dan pacar ini orang yang senasib dengan dia, yaitu anak Bogor yang diadopsi orang Belanda. Kemudian dia punya prestasi yang luar biasa, terutama di bidang renang. Dan saya tanya membawa bendera apa? Bendera Belanda begitu. Tapi dia letakkan semua atau dia tinggalkan semua itu untuk menolong teman-teman sesama adopsi ini agar menemukan orang tua masing-masing. Dan si pacarnya ini sudah menemukan 50 anak yang bisa menemukan orang tuanya. Dan saya tanya tadi, apakah nggak bantu Anda menemukan orang tua? Ya, bantu juga, tapi belum sukses sampai sekarang. So interesting.
Yes.
How optimistic you have to find your parent?
I'm not. I have to be honest with you. I'm not, because at that time there were a lot of things that were going wrong in Indonesia, but also in the Netherlands. And we're trying to find out what went wrong. And we are finding a lot of false papers. There were a lot of adoptions that were very difficult to explain to a child, like, who is your real father.
Yeah. Very sad. Saya tanya tadi seberapa optimistis dia akan menemukan orang tua. Dia bilang ya sulit sekali. Dia bilang gitu. Ya sedih. So your parent in Holland knew that you are in Indonesia now and you're finding your parent.
Yes, they are very, very happy that I'm in Indonesia, that I found a girl that really loves me, but also that I'm now like with the people where my own people, as you can say that. And they support me, and they went to Indonesia to visit the house, and I visited them a couple of times.
How frequent they went to Indonesia, coming to Indonesia?
Well, they now went one time because they're in their 80s, and
But healthy, right?
yes. So my parents, I don't know. I mean, when you're in their 80s,
Yeah.
the possibility that they die is well, Could be, but so they wanted to see where I was living.
So, where is your little brother now?
He is still in Holland.
In Holland.
He has
What he is doing?
a total different job. He is in the banking system,
Okay.
and he works for a company, and then sets up new branches all over the world for that branch.
Saya tanya apakah orang tuanya di Belanda sana tahu kalau dia sekarang di Indonesia sedang mencari bapak, tahu semua dan mensupport. Dan saya tanya adiknya sekarang ada di mana, adik saya sama adopsi itu sekarang di Belanda, dia kerja di perbankan dan kelihatannya menjadi orang penting di situ karena lagi buka cabang-cabang bank di negara-negara yang lain. So how many days you was in Ukraine?
I was about 2.5 to 3 weeks, because you also have to understand that because I'm a freelancer, I have to pay everything myself, and I don't get any earnings from that if I don't sell my story. So I am really, I'm an idealist. I believe in what I'm doing, and mostly by, for example, crowdfunding. I crowdfund my travel to Syria, to wherever, and that's also why it is very difficult right now working as a journalist, because a lot of media organizations find it very difficult because of disruptions. But I am proud to say that I think, one of the only Indonesian journalists that was in Ukraine.
Thank you.
For Disway, I'm very proud of that. But I also find, no, strange is the wrong word, but I worked as a journalist in war zones for 20 years. And I only saw 2 times an Indonesian journalist. So I don't think.
Tadi saya tanya berapa lama di Ukraina, dia bilang 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 2 minggu setengah di sana, dan dia harus membiayai dirinya sendiri semua karena dia wartawan freelance, artinya wartawan bebas. Tetapi dia bisa melakukan crowdfunding, artinya mencari dana dari masyarakat, yang itu di mana-mana itu biasa terjadi karena dia menyadari bahwa perusahaan-perusahaan media sekarang ini lagi susah untuk bisa membiayai wartawannya, dan karena itu selama 20 tahun dia jadi wartawan, dia baru 2 kali ketemu wartawan Indonesia di luar negeri. So that's it. Yeah, you are right. And then which place you were based in Ukraine?
First, I went to the border from Poland, and then I went from Poland to some border places, and then I went to Lviv, and then I went to Kiev, because at that time there was like the big fight around Irpin. I was there near the.
It is your first time to Kiev?
No, I was there in the war in 2013 or 14. 13 or 14.
14.
Yeah, 14, yes. I was there, and then I met some, for example, I got to meet the mayor of Kiev, Mr. Klitschko, and I still had like the contact numbers. So it was for me a little bit easier to go to Kiev. I met some friends back then, also, who helped me to go. So my network in Ukraine is very, very good. So I was able to travel, whether with 8 agency volunteers, to get as close as the front line as I could.
Jadi saya tanya tadi di mana di Ukraine, dia bilang dia di perbatasan dulu dari Polandia, kemudian masuk perbatasan, kemudian dia di kota bagian barat itu, kemudian dia ke ibu kota Kiev, karena ternyata saya tanya apakah ini pertama kali ke Kiev, ternyata dia bilang ini sudah yang kedua, karena waktu perang tahun 2014 itu dia juga berada di Kiev, dan dia punya network di sana, punya kenalan-kenalan di sana yang hubungannya sangat baik, sehingga dia tidak sulit berada di. How did you scary that in that place?
Yes, I mean every war is scary. I mean in the past I've been shot, I've been kidnapped.
Compared to 14.
No, I mean like before in Syria and in Iraq, I was scared too. I have when in 2019 I was in an ambush in in Syria. I got wounds of my body, but of course it is scared. I can show you. Yes.
The camera.
And it was from shrapnel.
What happened?
Shrapnel from a bomb. It was shrapnel from a bomb.
In Syria?
In Syria, yes.
19.
2019, yes. It was in this place called Soda.
Saya tanya tadi apakah nggak takut di Kiev, ya takut, tetapi ya di mana-mana perang ya begitu, ya takut di Syria, di Irak, di mana-mana, bahkan dia nunjukkan tadi di lehernya itu ada luka bekas serpihan bom waktu di
And in
Syria.
2016, I mean, that was one of the first injury from this, because I was injured a couple of times in Iraq as well. But to be honest, you asked me whether I was scared. Yes, war is very scary.
Ya, dia hanya menegaskan bahwa memang menakutkan perang itu. Why Russia as a big country cannot take Ukraine in short time?
No, I think it is because why. It's a very difficult question to answer. I think the Europe as a whole is incredibly strong.
Yeah.
Russia is also incredibly strong.
Ukraine.
Yes, they help with weapons, they help with aid, they help with guns, they help with whatever they need. The only thing that they don't help them with is a no-fly zone. That's what the Ukrainians want, because they don't have power over the air. And what they want is boots on the ground, and that's also what Europe does not give them. For the rest, they have their support, they have their money. So it is difficult for Russia to. And the moral, right now, the Russian soldiers are very demotivated, or very.
Russian side.
Yes.
Jadi saya tanya tadi kenapa negara besar seperti Rusia sulit sekali mengambil alih Ukraine. Ternyata ya Eropa sebagai keseluruhan itu kuat sekali dan membantu sekali Ukraina, dan karena berlarut-larut maka terjadi demoralisasi juga di kalangan tentara Rusia. So back to Holland. So your parent in Holland adopt you, both of you, because they need the children. But now you are away from Holland.
Yes, that's true.
So
I feel bad. Yes, well, I'm a grown up now. Sorry, I'm a grown up now. I love my parents, really. They have supported me always. I know I wasn't a very easy child, to be honest. The thing is, a lot of adopted children cope with a fear of leaving because of the adoption, or a fear of binding. And you see a lot of people who are adopted that sometimes battle with psychological problems, because the core of the adoption is you are away from your actual roots.
It's happened.
Yes, it has happened a lot. And a lot of people that are adopted cope, or struggle at least in their teens, with who they actually are. Are they like Indonesian, or are they like Chinese? Are they like from Sri Lanka? Doesn't really matter. They cope with, now they're in another country and trying to find out who they are. And for me, it turned out that I'm a war journalist, which is
sad, very sad. Jadi tadi saya tanya, kan orang tuanya yang di Belanda itu kan mengadopsi mereka ini kan supaya punya anak. Nah sekarang Anda malah pergi dari mereka, bagaimana ini? Dia bilang ya aku bukan anak yang baik ini, tapi ya udah dewasa dan segala macam ya. Dan dia bilang anak adopsi ya begitulah, punya problem psikologi, dia merasa sangat sulit untuk menjalin perasaan itu karena ya berbeda budaya dan seterusnya, ya sedih sekali. Tapi for
me, it's also hard to. Sometimes people ask me, "What country do you love most? Do you love most Indonesia, or
Holland?
Most Holland?" And there are things that I like from both countries.
50-50.
Yes, and maybe I'm like a dual person. I love Holland for all the qualities that Holland has to offer, but I also love Indonesia for all the qualities Indonesia has to offer.
Tapi dia menambahkan bahwa kalau ditanya lebih mencintai negara mana, apakah Belanda, apakah Indonesia, dia bilang cinta dua-duanya. Dan cintanya sama, dua-duanya. Mungkin dia tipe orang yang bisa menduakan kecintaan kepada negara seperti itu. If one day Indonesian government give you a passport, Indonesian passport, but you can
Only
become
can get one, yes.
double. So which one you choose?
Yes, I mean that is a very difficult question.
And difficult to make decisions.
Yeah, it's not that I don't want to say I want to have this passport or that passport, but because of my work as a journalist, sometimes it restricts me with an Indonesian passport, for example, to go to Israel.
Yeah.
And
Easier
or sometimes it restricts me with a Dutch passport, for example, to go to Iran.
Yeah.
So
there is a positive and negative.
Yes.
Tadi saya tanya seandainya pemerintah Indonesia menawari paspor Indonesia, tapi kan berarti harus melepas paspor Belanda. Mana yang dipilih? Bilang sulit sekali karena saya jadi wartawan, sehingga kadang-kadang menjadi Indonesia lebih gampang, menjadi Belanda lebih gampang. Misalnya menjadi Indonesia kalau ke Iran lebih gampang, tapi menjadi Belanda ke Iran mungkin sulit. Tapi kalau tempat lain mungkin menjadi Indonesia lebih sulit, menjadi Belanda, jadi dia sulit sekali.
But if it was my choice, I would have a hard stamp on both passports.
Did your parents teach you about religion?
Well, I was raised as a Christian. We were going to church every week when I was small.
Catholic or Protestant?
Well, Catholic.
Catholic.
Sorry, that's a difficult question because it was so long ago. No, I was a Christian. I went to church, and please don't ask me which church I went to. But to be honest, when people always ask me what do you believe, I always say,
if you're difficult to answer,
I believe in. I find it sometimes difficult to believe in a religion.
But believe in God, but no religion, something like that.
Yes, because I see some really beautiful things that the Islam has. I see some really beautiful things that Christians have, or Buddhists, and I would like to make my own mix.
Ya, jadi saya tanya tadi apakah orang tuanya di Belanda mengajari dia tentang agama. Oh ya, dan tiap minggu ke gereja Katolik bilang gitu. Tetapi dia sendiri sulit untuk menjawab masalah ini, dan biasanya karena itu saya bilang tadi kalau nggak mau dijawab juga nggak apa-apa karena saya tahu ini masalah pribadi sekali. Tetapi dia bilang nggak apa-apa begitu. Tetapi dia melihat bahwa di Islam ada hal-hal yang baik, di Kristen ada hal-hal yang baik, di Buddha ada hal yang baik, dan saya nanti akan menggabungkan.
Yes, because I spend a lot of time in the Middle East. I spend a lot of time in Indonesia. I respect the Islam very, very much. They have a beautiful religion, and I learn a lot also from the Islam. But I also, when I was small, I learned a lot from the Christian church. Yeah. So my personal belief is that I want to do good to people, and that's what I believe.
Ya, jadi dia kan sering ke negara-negara Islam, jadi sudah tahulah Islam. Sering ke Indonesia juga, ke negara-negara Timur Tengah. Tetapi kan dia juga tumbuh sejak kecil sebagai orang gereja, orang Katolik, sehingga dia melihat kebaikan-kebaikan di semua itu, dan dia bilang pokoknya saya akan menjadi orang baik dan berbuat baik untuk orang lain. So it's a thank you.
I'm trying to do my best in this world. See, I mean, that's what that's what I want people to remember. I mean, I go to war, and yes, of course, I can get killed or whatever. And I always, if that happens, I want people to think of me as a good person that tried to have done their best in this world.
Dan karena itu dia bilang, karena itu saya ke negara-negara perang, seandainya terjadi apa-apa, artinya meninggal, ya orang harus tahu bahwa saya orang baik dan saya berbuat baik untuk orang lain. Wah,
But I hope
So
for
good
my-
principle.
But I hope for my girlfriend that I will live a long time with her here in Surabaya. Inshallah.
Can I meet her?
Of course you can.
Yeah,
Yes, no problem at all. We can have dinner all together.
That's beautiful.
Yes, I think so. Cantik.
Cantik.
Cantik besar.
Thank you very
That's
much.
mine.
Thank you very much. Hey,
You're very
what is your name?
My name is Budiman.
Since when your name is Budiman?
Well, since the first day I was born.
Really?
Yes, in my passport.
Really?
Yes, I can show you. It's in my
So
passport.
your Holland passport is Budiman.
Budiman. Yes.
Only one word.
Yes, Budiman. Budiman Philippus.
Budiman?
Philippus.
Philippus.
Yes.
The Baptist name.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but
And your parents did not change your name?
no, because in Holland they call me Bud. It's short from Budiman. Only when my mom got angry when I was a child, she called Budiman. But that's.
Do you understand the meaning of Budiman?
They told me that it means he who brings joy, and I think that's
Budiman is a Budiman.
Budiman. Yes.
A good man.
Thank you, Makasi.
What is the name of your little brother?
Rick.
Eric.
Yes,
So-
Benjamin Rick.
Benjamin Reed. So
Yes.
not Indonesian name, not Japanese name.
Yes, well, in his Indonesian passport was the name Benjamin
But
because he was the youngest.
here they call Benjamin. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you
You're
very
very
much.
welcome,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.